welcome back to Old Ass Star Wars Game. It's me, and yes, you can guess it, it's been a while. It's actually been probably an even longer difference of time than... Dude, what are you doing? than in previous days, or previous sessions, and yeah, lots been going on, lots been changing, but I'm happy to be back with the Cellcath Quartet, singing some old Under the Sea tunes. I have my own trio here, ready to bust out an accompaniment. But yeah, it's good to be back. Notably today, for me, it's Pina Colada Day, and I'm joined by my new co-host, the Iron Giant, right here, and the Barfly's recipe for pina coladas, which is pretty decent. It's a little boozy, and there's heavy cream in it, which I'm kind of whatever about. It's also, I'm doing pina coladas like 10 ways today or something, just because I'm always interested in like what pineapple juice is better than another one. Should I use cream? Should I use egg? Should I go blender? How bad are the pre-made mixes really? I just want to know everything about the drink when I explore it, so that's what I've been doing. But yeah, totally. I also did go back and finish some stuff that I died in last session, and that basically, I basically went and talked to these guys. I think I died fighting the Sith Lord here before, but I whooped his ass, and I took a data pad, and Karth and Jolie had some little conversation about like, oh, blah, 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 you were a hermit in the woods, right? And I was like, fuck, this is not going to be on camera. But whatever, you know, just imagine they had a little squabble in your mind. And I walked in here, and then these guys were like, give Sasha, let them know about the Sith. And they gave me some like ring or something. And that's when I thought that I'd done everything that I did last week. So there might be a little bit of inconsistency, but probably not much. But I wanted to jump you guys back into talking to Shasa here. And hopefully we'll have some good old ass Star Wars action. So let's do it. So basically, if you look at options 3 and 2 here, I could have either talked to the Cellcath or used the data pad. This is the pin I gave Gallus when we were children. There's blood on it. You could have found this anywhere. For all we know, you killed Gallus. The Sith tortured him to death, Shasa. You know it's true. Shasa, I believe them. How else would they have found this pin? I didn't want to believe it, but I can no longer deny what I know to be true. Gallus is dead and the Sith are responsible. I must apologize for doubting you. The Sith are truly as evil as you've claimed. We must report this to the Otto City authorities. Yes, we must report this at once. We thank you, human, for showing us the truth. You have saved us from a terrible mistake.
Be careful with those gifts you've already learned. Beware the dark side, or you may end up betraying your world regardless.
Jolie, you got a good jawline, my friend. Oh shit, are we getting bumped out of here? Oh, I thought we were. Light side points gained. I was gonna be pissed because I'm wearing a Dark Jedi Master robes, and I was like, dude, if they restrict this to only dark side, I'm gonna be pissed. Because Anakin wore robes like this, and he was, I mean, while he was light or neutral, I guess. This is the thing about this game too, is that they don't reward you for making choices. They reward you for choosing an alignment. It's kind of like Fable, which actually just got re-announced as well. Oh, here's some dickheads over here, and I'm going to be doing a lot of saving so that I can make sure I don't have a repeat of last week. The Fable got announced, and they were exactly like that. Like, you would get punished for making any neutral alignment decisions, and when you were good, you were just like this angel, and when you were bad, you had like demon horns literally growing out of your head, and being neutral just meant that all of your gear would suck. It was pretty whack. I think, did I die in this room? I may have gotten killed here. No? This guy's a scrub. Come on, pal. Rich. Oh, so another thing too that's been going on recently, before I get into some other stuff, is that I have gotten super duper obsessed with Dungeons and Dragons, D&D. I love it. I totally am into it, and it's helped me understand this game a little bit better, and I'll show you what I mean. If I can get to... Okay, perfect. So I have actually... Jolie has a level up right now. So if I go to skills and go to awareness, right? It says awareness governs the ability of a character to spot objects or enemies hidden by stealth. If a successful check of this skill is made against the stealth skill of an enemy or the DC of a mine, the enemy or object is noticed and becomes visible. The DC of a mine. What does DC mean? DC in Dungeons and Dragons, DC means difficulty class, right? So if you are a magic user in Dungeons and Dragons, you have a spell save DC. So when you go to cast an ability that might do something, you have a number, and that number might be like 12 to 15, let's say. In order for the enemy to resist your attack, whether that means just not having anything happen to them or taking half damage, they have to roll a higher number than your DC, your difficulty class. So your DC is basically the level of skill of the mine. If it was a shitty mine, like the DC was only 8, and I know this game uses 20-sided die, or 20-sided die on the back end, as is the case with a lot of rolls, like roll to hit and stuff in 5e and D&D, then it would be really easy to make that roll. But there's an element of randomness that is probably boosted by your awareness modifier. So I imagine awareness would be like +5 on any of your rolls or something, right? So like, as we're only in episode like 23 now or something, and I'm like finally figuring out how this game actually works. It's so terrible. I feel like I finally like got around to understanding everything, but yeah, let's see. They've been leveling. They've leveled twice in like the 10 minutes that I've been playing, so they've been going up. This is a dark side power. Do I get dark side points for doing this? Drain life, this dark side. How do I... Oh, this is actually great right here. Force suppression. There are going to be some enemies that probably don't get affected by that, but yeah, been totally obsessed with D&D. I love it. I've been watching a lot of different D&D channels, like Dungeon Cast and Critical Role and Dummies and Dragons, or Dum Dums and Dragons, which is like a fun one. And it's just really cool to, and I'm sure like people listening to this are thinking like, God, D&D is like the nerdiest thing you could ever do. And in a lot of ways it is. Look at his little gimpy ass lightsaber right here. I guess because it's just coming out. It is like the nerdiest thing you could possibly do, but man, it's just really fun. I don't know. Just blow this dude up. Force whirlwind? Wow, that... Oh shit, both of them got whirlwind. Man, his CC is so good. Watch. Now you're fucked. So everybody's fucked. And this moment, we've just made everybody ass. So clearing mobs is pretty good. But yeah, like, so D&D is very, like, there's just a lot of cool people. I don't want to say cool people, but like, there's just a lot of cool stuff going on in D&D. I never really understood why people like playing it, but it's basically like the best kind of video game. It's a game where you can do literally anything you want, as long as the dungeon master or game master, however you want to call it, allows you to. Oh, is this just another... Okay, there's no value in looking at this anymore. Return to the system override, log out. Cool. So it's really a cool game because you can do whatever you want, and it's really all based around roles, and the game has been played for so long that there's like a ton of deep lore. And really the thing about Dungeons and Dragons is that D&D is D&D is a world in your homebrew, or if you want to play like adventure. Oh, this, I guess this is the pressure door thing. I don't really know how to do this, but hello? Yeah, I have no idea. I don't. Oh shit. Maybe this is where I died last time. Oh fuck, man. Well, at least I've been saving. But yeah, it's basically like a prompt. So like D&D has all these different characters. They have their gods, their cosmology of how everything was created. There are important characters, and it contains like everything. Like there's every kind of like mythological creature that you could imagine has a place in this world. Every kind of like cosmological idea, like the idea of a world tree or like multiple realms, or like Christian hell versus like demons from fantasy versus like Asgard. And they kind of like find a way, since this game's been played for like literally 60 years, they found a way to like more or less unify everyone into one kind of cohesive idea. And then as the DM or the game master, you write a narrative that goes and basically fulfills a lot of those requirements. And what's cool is that if you go to a part and you're like, hey, if we use like Game of Thrones, if Game of Thrones was Dungeons and Dragons, for example, if you're like, hey, I think the ending of this is fucking stupid, and I don't like the idea of Bran being the king and Daenerys, changing and becoming a traitor right at the end, you can just say, that's not what happens in my homebrew, and you can change everything. It's completely flexible. If you don't like rules, you can throw them out, and it's awesome. So I've been writing a campaign for months now, and I've been really enjoying it. If you go in that Dungeon Cast page, they have like a ton of good lore. And the other thing is that like learning the lore of D&D is like literally its own kind of job, It's like literally its own. God, this move is broken. Why wasn't I using this before? Look, they're just all getting fucked like immediately. God, Jolie is so busted, man. Oh my god.
Sure.
But just, oh shit, did somebody come? Oh, maybe they can still zap me or something from here. Let's see. Oh, they're just still up here. Yeah, we should like barely be taking any damage from these guys. You could use stasis on this guy too. Stasis. Yeah, die. Ah, shit. Dude, did Karth take that Jedi? Oh my god. Just slice and dice. No. Hey. Oh, he's dead already. Yeah, you're done. You're done, homie. RIP. But yeah, like there's so much lore in D&D that like there's always a cool idea to use for your campaign, and there's always like a cool take, and lore changes from edition to edition. It's interesting with D&D because this is becoming like the mini D&D episode. Like Dungeons and Dragons is not only 5 different editions where they've changed the rules and changed like basics about the lore and added new classes and changed even like literally their sequels to each other. The like environment that it exists in is different edition to edition. They use a different like base. They're all generally like 13th, 14th century fantasy settings, but they're like, one's called Forgotten Realms, one's called Dragonlance, one's called Greyhawk, which was the original Gary Gygax edition, and there's just like so much to learn. And as for somebody that like really likes making things, kind of like I discussed in the art episode, and seeing like the potential for things, D&D is really fun. And it's also just like a fun game to play with people. Like if you want to be like my character that I'm playing right now, and I promise you that at some point a campaign that I write will end up on this channel, like is that literally all there was in this direction? Just Sith assholes and that's it? I guess so. Oh, this is the other side of that pressure door room. But I guess I guess this is just a way to shortcut over here. Seems kind of lame to me, to be honest. But what am I trying to get at? Yeah, something that I've like as I was saying in the art episode, like I like the potential of things more, and I like the ability to be able to write cool things. And it's just fun from a hosting perspective to have a game of D&D that you play every week. The combat, you can like make the combat as crazy as you want. You can like incorporate drinking games into your scenarios. You can incorporate like music and different visuals. You can play with no miniatures. You can play with miniatures. Like everyone's game is different, and everybody's like style of playing the game is different. But it's just fun because you can be like whatever you want. Like in my campaign, I'm a bard. I'm a lizard folk bard named Slupo, who's named after my Star Wars Galaxies character that just ended up having no last name for some reason. And we already came through here, I think. That just ended up having no last name for some reason. And I'm basically like a like magically charmed lizard dude who jumps around and flexes to attack people. So like I reskin all my abilities like of like the bard attack abilities, like cutting words and vicious mockery and all this stuff. And I'm just like, yeah, Slupo walks over and he like throws his jacket off and he's like, hey, look at this. Or like flexes all of his abs, and then suddenly like you see like a gust of random wind comes by and like he looks epic, and somehow that does damage to the enemy. It's fun because you can just make up any, like you have this prompt of D&D, and then you can write like a backstory, and your backstory like archetype literally affects your stats. And then you can just kind of play it however you want, and the game has like all these good sort of like fundamentals. Yeah, I guess we didn't go down that hallway. It has all these cool like fundamentals to be able to set up your campaign, and like because it's so flexible, like you don't have to force anybody to like play a certain role. If you're like the DM and your characters, like your team isn't really like that well spec'd. I guess this like doesn't lead anywhere. I swear there was, maybe that's where we died before. I don't know. Why? Oh, those are my party members, I think, right there. Yeah, okay. Auto City, Training Annex, Flow Control. Yeah, I guess this is it. I guess we just go out and talk to the council about the Sith douchebags. But yeah, it's just a really like dope way of structuring things. And like if you go watch Dum-Dums and Dragons, you can see about how like goofy it can be. If you watch Critical Role, that's probably like the best overall, like between like writing and well run. The first arc of the campaign is not as good. It's still good, but it's not as good as other parts of the game. But it's still pretty decent. And then like the Dungeon Cast is good for if you want to learn about lore or like different things. There's a couple other people that are good. I can't remember the names of them, that are good for like differences between versions. And if you want to like, that's another good thing about D&D. Like if you like a concept from an earlier like version of the game, you can just add it to your game and run with it. So there are some people that are good about like D&D history. And then there are some people that are like have really cool writing. And a lot of people do homebrews that use D&D as like a base, but they're not necessarily like D&D literally like straight up campaigns. So you could have like Dungeon Cast does one where they're in space. It's like a space adventure with D&D as a background or a backbone. And some people do like superhero D&Ds, and then they like write out all the stats and they reskin stuff from the base game to play that way. So we've just been really obsessed, and it's nice because me and Gwen got like really into it, and we both like to write and create stuff. So yeah, that's the Republic Enclave up here, which is where we need to go. Courtyard. Okay. But yeah, it's just been really, really fun to do that. And they're also making a so I didn't know this, but the Baldur's Gate games are D&D games, and they're making a sequel by this studio called Larian Studios, who made a game called Divinity. Oh, let me see.
Retrieve the data from our
Yeah, here it is.
Excellent. It does not
We'll
appear
get back to
to be
this.
tampered with, so the Sith did not manage to copy its contents yet. And now for your information. We are not supposed to speak of this, but since you are a Jedi and we have exhausted all the other options, I think, as you know, the Republic is fighting for its very existence against the evil of the Sith Empire. As you also undoubtedly know, we're doing very poorly. We need much in the way of supplies and material to stem the
He
tide of
has,
battle and bring us victory.
what is that
Manon is the
symptom
sole
where your
source of
eyeballs are
the
yellow?
most powerful medical substance.
It's, jaundice. He's very jaundiced, this guy.
The Selkath conservatives, with their neutrality treaties, seek to treat the Sith and the Republic equally. This includes Kolto exports, but a few more far-sighted Selkath see that if the Sith are ever allowed to win, the galaxy will be plunged into darkness, and there would be nothing to stop them from taking Manon anyway. So we made a deal.
What sort of a deal?
We recently began construction of a secret underground facility to harvest Kolto directly at its source. We also hope to one day be able to synthesize it effectively. Current techniques are insufficient for the task, so we must mine it for now. The amount we take would hardly be noticed, since most is lost naturally before it reaches the surface anyway. We were nearing completion of the base when the digging teams reported some sort of obstruction, an ancient building or artifact, possibly your star map. Transmissions from the base were cut off abruptly after that, and we haven't heard from the station since. As you may have noticed, we're hiring a lot of mercenaries around here. Ostensibly, they're to be shipped off-world to aid in our fight against the Sith, but they're really for another purpose. When we lost contact with the station in the Rackard Rift, we sent our contingent of Republic soldiers down to investigate. None returned. We've tried hiring mercenaries and sending them down as well, but none of those expeditions have returned either. The reason we really sent that droid underwater, and the reason we needed its data back so badly, was to find out what happened to the Rackard Rift station. But now that we have the data back, our operation is in no danger of exposure to the Sith. And now I must live up to my end of the bargain.
I like it down there.
I took the liberty of having a submarine prepared for your departure. Merely use this card to get to the Ultra packing room and enter the sub therein. It has been programmed to take you down to the station, and also to take you back up should you need something. I would send soldiers to assist you, but we've lost many of ours.
I'm just like imagining my character sitting there like this while this guy's telling him about this secret plan.
The Sith have also noted our interest and begun to bribe mercenaries away from us. Please, find out what happened to the facility. There may be some survivors left down there.
Christopher Nolan.
Good luck in your effort.
I'm gonna ask him if he's mad that Tenet has been pushed back like 6 times. They literally will not release Tenet until AMC reopens again. It's crazy. I'm super excited for that movie, and I don't know about super excited, but it's one of those movies like, I think Inception is like a perfect just watch it kind of movie. It's got Leonardo DiCaprio in it and like mind travel. Like, what else could you want? But Tenet is seems really cool. And my uncle Danny actually did some work on that movie. He did. There are some scenes where they needed like a certain kind of plane that's flying around. And where the fuck did this guy tell me to go to do this? By the way. There's a certain scene where this guy's like flying a plane around. Where is I guess Otto West? And he flies like RC planes a lot, and he got flown out to, I think, Ireland or like the Netherlands or something, and flew his RC planes for the movie. And he was on site for like months just hanging out. And flying these planes for Christopher Nolan, which is cool. He never got to meet him, but he said it was like a once in a lifetime kind of thing you get to do, you know. So I thought that was pretty coolio. But yeah, I hear Gwen getting home in the background, so I imagine she might jump in here. But yes. What am I thinking? Shoo-ba-da-doo. Hi, hello, Alora. There was some stuff. Who was I supposed to... I don't know where I'm supposed to go to get, like, more... Yeah, what's up? I need to find more evidence. Thank you. I've talked to Sunry already, right? Oh, we haven't. Maybe I. Did I forget to do this when I respawned last time? Wrinkled butts, yep.
Well, I was at the hotel, I admit. It was going well. Maybe but let's look at the Lasser was brutally killed. Think my war injury. Further, they said obviously the Sith planted the cross. I hope you can see how.
I'm just trying to remember what they said.
Anything else I can help you with? I want my arbiter to be well prepared. Guess you could interview witnesses at the hotel with the murder, but I think you'd be better off investigating the Sith themselves. Anything. Very well. Once you.
But I went to the Sith embassy and I didn't see shit. Would the item for would the item for the quest not have existed there? Is what I wonder. If I had not already talked to him, if I had forgotten to do that, that would really piss me off. Like if it's one of those kind of games. Shit. The question is, what do I do for you visitors? Now that I am fucked here. Shit. I really want to do his trial, because I think the trial parts are really cool, but I don't know like what the best way of going about it is. Like, should I have this? I'm just gonna fucking talk. I'm sorry guys if tell you what, I'm gonna go talk to everybody. You've already seen this and I'll be back.
I hear you've been appointed. What? Don't insult us.
Now, Elora.
Yes. Yes, he was having an affair. He was seeing that Sith woman. For all these years we've been together, he just struck me like that. Not publicly, oh no. But inside, that's what it feels like. He started seeing Alasa last year. I had my suspicions for a while, but he was careless. Pretty soon everyone knew. But even though I'm sure that harlot was only using him, I know he couldn't have killed her. He came and confessed to the affair to me. He said he was going there to break it off, to end it. Maybe the Sith woman attacked him, and he had to defend himself. But even though he cheated on me, inside he's still the man I loved. He's too kind and gentle to have killed her in cold blood.
All right, we are back. Evidence of cheating. I had done some of the stuff and forgotten to do some of the other checks, so it was a little weird, but I figured it out. Your husband might not be so innocent, Elora.
This is all a plot to discredit the
It's possible. I haven't seen Sunry since I crashed on Kashyyyk. A man can change a lot in that time. The man I knew could never have done this crime, however.
Find the real evidence. That's all.
The real evidence. He was fucking some Sith chick, huh? He was just ba-boom, ba-boom. Let me go ask Sunry about this. Be like, yo, were you fucking Alasa? You gonna lie to me again, pal?
Joey, coming to check in on an old man? I must confess, I would rather you were here to speak to the warden and begin my trial. Soon, old friend. But we don't want to go to trial until we've got the whole picture.
I grew weary of stating at these four balls. Another role can be taken. There are a few things we have to clear up.
Ahead, ask what you need to. I've got nothing to hide.
Were you and Alasa having an affair?
No, what this must look like, yes. Yes, we were having an affair. I know it was wrong, but I'm a weak man. Alasa was beautiful and young. How was I to resist her charms?
Resist her charms.
I loved her. Please. I know I made a terrible mistake getting involved with Alasa, but I was going there to break it off with her. I did it, but found out later that she was dead. I don't deserve to go to jail just for having an affair, do I? You have to help me prove that... Guess you could interview witnesses at the hotel where the murder... But I think you'd be better off anything else I can help you with. Very well. Once you've gotten enough evidence to go to trial...
Alright, so we found that out. I don't want to waste any more of your time, so I'm going to look up where I need to route so that you guys can have a better experience. Sorry. Alright, we are back. I think we can still just confess with Sunri.
Go ahead.
I know you're guilty, Sunri. I've got the Republic's data recording.
So the truth is out. I never meant to kill her, you know. When I found out she was a Sith spy using me to gain information, that something inside
the
me
layers of lies. This man is an ogre.
So I waited until she fell asleep.
Liars have layers.
Then I killed her. Simple, really. But once I realized what I'd done, I panicked. I contacted those spies from the Republic to help me. They found the illegal monitoring device the Sith had planted in the room, altered its recording to hide my part in it, and cleared up the evidence. I figured that was the end of it.
The Sith found out the truth, didn't they?
The Sith must have been spying on me and Alasa, trying to make sure she wasn't a double agent. They must have seen the Republic spies getting rid of all the evidence. So they planted their own evidence. Alasa must have stolen that hero's cross from me long ago and given it to her Sith masters like some kind of trophy. I just thought I'd misplaced it. But when the cross turned up on her body, I knew this.
This is, again, we've been talking about D&D, and I do actually think it's very clear in the combat that this game was inspired by D&D heavily, especially because it's an early BioWare game. But the way that they have gone about writing these stories with complexity and granularity, like trying to get into even the economics of how the Kolto is shipped and the logistics of how somebody might be able to take pieces of Kolto and how the repercussions it could have on the people of this planet if Kolto was able to be synthesized off-world. These are things that really speak to like something like Dungeons and Dragons, where, and I realized this when I watched Greg from How to Drink start DMing because he loves D&D as well. D&D encourages homebrewers and campaign runners to get into the granularity of your universe, even like the minutia of the economics of people, the reasonings, the government structures, the kind of it's not a state system, but the system where like the nobility would come in and then everybody in their area was a peasant in the area that they owned, and you weren't like legally allowed. There's a name for this. It's slipping my mind. It's Pina Colada Day. Give me a break, people. But even stuff like the weather patterns and how things could potentially realistically exist in your world versus the magic versus everything. And this is why you see these complicated questions in this game. There is a Republic veteran who is at fault for accidentally allowing himself to turn over information to a young, beautiful Sith woman, and he killed her. In the literal definition, he murdered this lady, but this lady's a Sith. All they do is like murdering people. And the question is, are you willing to lie to the court? Are you willing to lie under oath to protect somebody who's for the greater good? Or are you going to convict a friend for basically to support a race that are pretty much definitely evil? And they try to see this idea that the Sith are not holistically evil, even though literally everything else in Star Wars tells us that they are as evil as, like, you know, Sauron or something that's just meant to represent like uninterpretable evilness. But it's interesting, and I love that they clearly have that dimension, and they have the whole time I've been playing this.
But Sunri is a murderer. I'm sorry, old friend, but you are. I'm glad you decided to see reason in this.
I got dark side points. Damn. Sorry, Jolie. All right, I'll get light side points, I guess. I don't want to betray the homie. Here we go. Sorry, Sunri. I gotta go talk to the judge, actually. That's how I start the trial. I gotta go talk to the warden. We'll start the trial, and I'm gonna tell him that he done murdered that woman. Ooh, can I tell his wife? I just want to see what she does.
I hear you've been appointed lies. It must be. This is...
It's possible.
Fine.
Damn, she can't believe it. It's too hard. It's too much for her to bear. I want to begin Sunry's trial. Yeah, let's do it. Fuck it, let's go. Let the records show that the trial of Sunry versus the Alto City Authority has commenced. Presiding judges are Judges Shelkar. Am I gonna have to click? Yosa, Nalishakan, Kota, and Dula. The trial is to determine the culpability of Sunry in the death of the Sith Alasa. Representing Sunry in his defense as a member of the Jedi Order, do you have any opening statements? Yeah, he's guilty. A recording. Let this new evidence be entered into the records. Ha. This new evidence is most convincing. Yes, it seems to be very convincing. This shortens the trial considerably. In light of this new evidence, there is no need to proceed with the witnesses or cross-examinations. You've kind of don't have to do this now. The court hereby finds Sunry guilty of the murder of Sith Alasa. In accordance with Selkath law, the prescribed punishment for murder is death. The verdict has been delivered and the trial is now over.
I don't believe this. I mean, Sunry should be remembered as a hero, not as a murderer. That isn't right.
Remove the guilty party from this courtroom.
Oh, Sunry, no.
See, I got the bad ending no matter what I did. One person loves me, the other person hates me. He wouldn't even look at me. I got no light side points for doing the right thing, but I got dark side points for suggesting or doing the wrong thing.
You did what was necessary. Sunry was guilty. As sad as that fact makes me, justice had to be done. Doesn't matter that his victim was a Sith or that he was once a hero. I only wish that... But that's the thing about wishes. They don't come true. And now Sunry's dead, which is a shame. He was a good man, you know, once. I don't want to talk...
Yes, what's on your...
He does. Damn, Karth has no... He only pipes up when he's pissed at me, but when I ask him, you got any opinions about Sunry? He's like, fuck that. Is Alasa still over here? No? Can I go over here and see what they're gonna do with Sunry? Damn. Alright, well, I guess that's resolved. Fuck. Alright, let's, where do I have to go to? The Culto Holdings? Let's get over there, we'll kick that off and then figure everything else out. There's so much walking in Manon, you know what I mean? It's just endless walking. Walking and walking and walking. More walking and more moving around and walking. It's crazy. You know, I think this area was supposed to kind of represent the like ability to pick your own path. And I tried to talk about it earlier, but there's a game Baldur's Gate I was referencing made by a studio called Larian that also made another game called Divinity 2. And I've actually beaten that RPG. It took me like 4 days of like pretty much straight playing at least to beat it. But fuck, where do I go? I think it's this way. But that game was by far the best game I've ever played in terms of like allowing you to approach situations differently. Like a lot of games, like maybe another one that's comparable is like the Elder Scrolls series, and like you could kill a lot of unimportant quest givers in that game, but all it netted you was that you could do less in the game. Like it wasn't fun, right? But in that game, like you have all these different ways of solving problems. I'm trying to make sure that I'm going the right way here, but you have all these different... Is this the ProPublic area? Yeah, I'm just going to go ask him where I'm supposed to go. Oh, shit! Oh, shit! No. It just crashed. $26.41. So our game crashed before, and but it doesn't seem to have actually done anything. It doesn't seem to have actually like fucked us in any way. So sorry about that. That's the first time this game has straight up just crashed on me. But yeah, I was talking about Divinity, and really good game. Other games, they don't let you really let you have a ton of choice in the way you approach problems. But this game allows you tons of freedom in the way you approach things, and it's been really cool. Like you can kill quest givers, you can escape via like 30 different quests. If you do like attack somebody, you can talk to their ghost or like find like a cool ass like a record on their body like pointing you in a different direction. And like there's really not a ton of like main quest essentials you have to do, and there's many different ways of resolving the main quest, so it very much always feels like your story. And I'm excited about it because they're making literally the D&D 5e game, which is Baldur's Gate 3, so I get to enjoy even more D&D, but as a literal video game.
When you are ready to explore the Rackard Rift, enter the Republic base. In the cult, the sub will have a core. I wish you luck on your quest.
All right, cool. Let's go down there. Large computer, small computer? I guess it's this way, huh? I guess this is the way to get into the way to the submarine. The way to the submarine. Submariner. Namor. Oh, here we go. Ooh, look at this cool thing over here. Very cool stuff. Is there anything to loot over here? No? Maybe? One thing? Two things? Three things? Very awesome. Shit. Well, all right. I think that in lieu of getting super duper long, once again, we're going to do a shorter episode this time because we have this set up right here to get on to something different in Manan. I'm sorry that we've been puttering around for so much, and I'm also sorry that trial didn't really lead to much, but I want to get into our topic today, which is growth. And I know I'm going to sound a little bit sadder, I think, getting into this. Not necessarily sad, but maybe aside from this kind of uppity feeling that I've had on the rest of the episode, I've not been in the greatest place the last 3 weeks. Basically, I was on antibiotics for 2 weeks a couple weeks ago for something very minor, and I was on Bactrim, and it's a folate blocker, and that basically makes it so that your skin is very susceptible to being sunburned, and my skin just generally felt burny overall when I was on it. So I didn't go outside at all. I was very cloistered. And then even a week after that, I was just kind of in the habits that I had formed during that time. And I didn't really want to do much or go out much or do anything. And I noticed I ended up doing a lot of the same stuff, over and over. I don't want to go out because we're kind of in the second wave plus of COVID right now, and although there isn't quarantine at the moment, there is a huge it's very important not to go out and not to interact with a lot of the outside world, because it's almost as if your enjoyment of your life right now is directly correlated to your willingness to get or spread COVID-19. And it kind of sucks. And I don't feel like depressed, but I kind of have just felt empty the last 3 or 4 weeks, right? I feel like I get up every morning, I do the same thing. I get online, I have my morning call, I work on the same kind of, this last couple months I've been building like very similar features using very similar code in like a very isolated circumstance. And I wait for Gwen to get off of work, and then we watch like The Sopranos or something, and then I go to sleep, and I live like the same day every day for like weeks. And I've heard other people describe it as like feeling like they're just in the Matrix, like they're in this like virtual world that isn't really real. And it's crazy because I kind of feel that way too. And then I get calls from people, like I talk to like Connor, I talk to Doug or my dad, and they're like, dude, I haven't talked to you in like months. Like what's going on? And it feels like no time has even elapsed. And it's just like time is like escaping you. You know what I mean? It's like, I think this feeling that I'm having is like very much like that like lo-fi aesthetic, not depression, but like just emptiness, like void feeling that you see in like a lot of those like lo-fi hip-hop aesthetic videos on YouTube. And yeah, I don't know, it's just because of this sort of empty cloistering that I'm feeling right now, I've just been evaluating what is around me and looking at, you know, my life in 2019 versus, you know, my life now, and especially in this last couple months. And the one thing that I really notice is that there is an absence of the propensity for growth, an absence for what spurs on growth, which is challenge, you know. Hold on, sorry, I gotta alter something. All right, sorry, just there was something weird going on my computer over here, but I don't know why it crashed before, but or the game crashed, but yeah, I've just been noticing that there's like an absence of the propensity for growth, because there's nothing that I'm really challenged with at the moment, you know. Like, it's this dual problem of I had all these things on my bucket list that I wanted to get done this year. Like, I wanted to be an extra in a movie, and I wanted to go dig on a dinosaur dig in Colorado, and I had these things set up to go do, but I had to cancel a lot of things because of COVID. And I don't necessarily feel like that wouldn't have necessarily fixed what I'm kind of talking about right now, but being out in the world and having things that you do enjoy to some degree do give you more of an opportunity to be challenged. And I think that you have to be challenged in order to grow. You have to be put in an adverse or a situation that will elicit those feelings of highs and lows, of being pressured and then overcoming a challenge, whether that be from your peers challenging you, or your environment challenging you, or even you just get hooked on an idea from something else and you just become super driven out of nowhere. I think a lot of people have to get more of it from their environment than they would put on. I mean, you see a lot of really typically driven people really crumbling under COVID, like being inside so much. And I've talked to so many people who are just like, yeah, I'm doing nothing. Like, time almost has like no value, in the sense that like months go by and even when you reconnect with these people, nobody has anything to say. So I haven't really felt like this powerless in the ability to like change things since like there was like a year in high school, I think, where like I was a sophomore and I was kind of between friends group, and I was waiting for my friends who were all 2 years younger than me to get into high school. And I don't even know if I had a license at that point, but I remember thinking like, all I can do right now is just wait for things to get better, and it's frustrating. And in my adult life, I haven't really had that, but now I'm sort of like, I almost have more empathy for myself then, because I'm like, there's nothing I can do but literally wait for COVID to end and just do my best to not contribute to it. But I don't know, you need those challenges in order to grow and to have like a dynamic life of where things aren't gray and changeless. Like, if you're a fan of Dark Souls, there's this idea that in their lore the world was gray and filled with these everlasting elder dragons that just basically sat in this gray mist, and nothing got old and nothing got gray or died, or, you know, got anywhere and died. And then out of spontaneity, disparity came out, and there was light and darkness, and the light and darkness warred with the emptiness, and that's how the world came to be. And I think like maybe it's just our primate brains, but like there's no world of like staticity, I guess is the word, that anyone will ever be happy with, right? Like, there's no world where you just reach the end of the rainbow and things are like infinitely good forever. Like, there needs to be like an arc, a path, a narrative. Like, at least for me in my life, like I get a lot of the value of my life when I look at myself out of the things I've overcome and the things I've gained. Like, you know, like you have these doubts about yourself when you're young, and then or you know, even recently, and then you overcome them, and you have that moment of joy. And or I've had that moment of joy, but then it ultimately subsides to this emptiness, because it's almost like the questions you asked yourself were like, they were the backbone of of how you looked at yourself. Like, you know, when you're young, you're like, when am I going to lose my virginity? That's like an early one, you know, why have other people lost it and why haven't I? And maybe that, you know, supports some insecurity with yourself. And for me, like a more recent one, recent being like a couple years ago now, is like, when am I going to be able to hold down like a real career job? Is there something wrong with me that I can't like commit to one path for long enough to be able to do it? And then you reach that and you feel good, and maybe you leapfrog some people that you were competing with that were pushing you to be better, and you feel all good about it. But one thing, even aside from COVID, that I've been feeling is that like I am kind of, I feel like I'm at the end of a rainbow, and I'm also ahead of a lot of the people that I frequently communicate with. And it's like between that and COVID, I just feel like I don't know what to do to pursue any further challenges. It's like I'm having like, I have like constantly like midlife crisis, like diet midlife crisis, you know. The typical definition of which would probably be like, you know, a parent having empty nest syndrome when they're like 50 because their kids are going off to college, and now they gotta support their parents as they go through like the end stages of their life, and they're looking at that and thinking, well, shit, I just wound up here because my culture validated this life for me, and I never really gave it any thought as to what I wanted, and I'm having doubts. And the doubts like give you those crises, and maybe I'm talking that I need more doubts, but I think it requires challenge to have this valuable life. I think growth is the reaction to overcoming things. And like, I don't know, when I was like, I got bullied when I was like in 6th grade at a private middle school, and then I really struggled when my parents moved me to public school in 7th grade, and I finally just like something I didn't even know was there like turned on inside of me, and I just became much more rebellious and like kind of a class clown, and I finally was able to like get validation from anyone, and that like really boosted my confidence, and it felt like I overcame something that not everybody overcame somehow. And that was a big like, that's part of how I look at myself. And then, you know, other ones were like getting the job and all this stuff. But it's tough when you live in this world of absence where there's nothing that's really challenging your worldview. There's nobody that's asking you to say, hey, look at this differently. There's nobody that's putting pressure on you. There's nobody that's exposing you to anything new. And like, maybe it's just our primate brains can't accept a static view of the world where like everything is like those never changing dragons. But it's just crazy. You know, I don't mean to say like everything comes from like your peers. Like, you need to have peers that pressure you to be able to do that. I think it's very good to have that, but like, I don't know, sometimes you also have to find a way to be more objectively challenged. Like, we're watching The Sopranos right now, and there's a scene where Junior, who's like the boss of New York or New Jersey at the moment, Tony's uncle, he like breaks up with his girl and like puts a hit out on Tony because it gets discovered that he likes eating pussy, you know? And in today's age, it's like, who the fuck cares that you eat vagina? You know what I mean? Like, why would that be such a dramatic thing? But for him, it was like a death sentence. So, you know, you shouldn't always be informed, and really you probably shouldn't ever be informed by the opinions of like other people. You should come to your conclusions yourself if you can. But really what I'm trying to say is that the world at least puts pressure on you and gives you those shades, those tones of darkness and light that allow you to decide who you are and what you are. And without that, there's simply this void, this emptiness. And, you know, even when I was actually depressed about certain things that were going on in my life, I could acknowledge that depression had value, and it felt better than that emptiness, that feeling of looking out of the window and being like, time is the only net value of time right now is the decay of my body, you know, because when I look back on this, I'm not even going to realize these days even elapsed. They're just going to be the minutes that I'm putting down are only memorable now. And even in a week, because they're the same as the previous week, I probably won't be able to distinguish them from each other. So I know that's pretty gloomy, but for what we can do, me and Gwen are challenging ourselves because we're both we had a discussion a couple nights ago that we are both bored of our lives right now. Like, we are both bored of what COVID has done to everything, and we're tired of being in Orlando. You know, I'm so familiar with this area, and even though I've paid like all my own bills, and we both have for like at least the last 2+ years, there's still a lot of comfort from being in a home owned by your dad that's next to a college, and there's still like a mindset that doesn't really challenge me or push me. I'm not saying that like moving and being like one of those people who are like, I'm going to move to California and then suddenly everything's going to be different is like valid, but at least it erodes some of the comfortability under your feet, so you have the chance to be different. Otherwise, like, everything's the same and everything has equally no value, like not even negative value, just no value. So we're going to try to move to the city. If Gwen finds a job like in Carolina, we're going to move out of state. We just want to be exposed, want to be challenged. And for me, like, I am feeling like I'm still on the side of one rainbow, and I'm waiting to have that emotional feeling of maybe doubts that push me forward to a certain resolution, that give me motivation and drive, or even people like when I was dieting, right, that I felt like, fuck, this person ain't shit. I'm going to show this person that I can lose all this weight too, or I can do this too. And like, just anything to be motivated by. And it's not good to be petty at all. And you should try to stop that. And it's like the lowest form of motivation, but just to feel anything. And, I don't think for my sake and for you guys listening, if this is the world you're in and you really don't have any control, don't be too hard on yourself, but like, just do the little things that you can. And I don't suggest that moving and changing places and taking on a much higher rent simply because you want to be out of a place is a little decision, but, you know, be gentler with yourself. And whatever you do, just don't be one of these idiots going to Disney with 8 people not wearing a mask, because that's much worse than I'm not willing to sacrifice other people's health to stem my boredom, you know. So yeah, growth is equal to challenge. You can't fabricate it. You have to be challenged. It usually comes from like self-doubt, or the overcoming self-doubts, or a striving to be more like your peers, or striving to fit a certain definition. But honestly, just striving towards anything is better to not even feeling one way or another way about anything. So COVID sucks, and I really wish it was like how I felt before, where like when we went to Danielle's, where we felt like things are going to be over soon, but they're not going to be. And thank you, Ron DeSantis, for putting us in this fucking scenario where Florida's going to be like this for the foreseeable future. So, challenge yourself. That's growth. Press onwards. Sometimes what defines challenge is different. I know this has been kind of a roundabout, all over the place episode, but what have you. I'm planning on revisiting all these topics on the next game that I play solo, so if this wasn't sufficient to your liking, it will come around in a rotation again. And I'm also planning, I guess as the end note, I'm also planning to have, I'm planning to take the channel in a different direction. I feel like with having Cameron and Sean on, and there's only a couple other people I want to have on that I feel like are check boxes for me. I'm probably going to add a new content style. It'll probably be like D&D stuff, most likely. Whenever I get done with that campaign, it might be like instructional tutorials, but I just want this channel to always have like present value to me, and be able to like be a really good recording of stuff that is pertinent. So with that, I am going to be out of here, and I will say, look how crazy my hair is right now. I'm going to get that in the mic. It's like this has been like the best part of the last like month. And with that, I'm going to say bye-bye.